welcome back to another pre-draft 2024 standings prediction by BigCheeto. The next division that we're going to be predicting, guys, is the NFC North. As always, hopefully you enjoy and give us a like, a follow, subscribe, and also go check out our other places that we're at on social media like TikTok and Facebook, and we'll hope to see you guys around. Let's get into it. And in dead last, my prediction for the 2024 NFC North standings, I have the Chicago Bears. Bears fans, I'm sorry. I know you're super excited with getting Caleb Williams at the #1 pick, but there is a lot of reasons I have you guys placed here. Before I get into the outlook and my prediction for the 2024 season, I'll get into some of the notable acquisitions and re-signs, as well as some of the departures. As far as the re-signs and acquisitions that the Bears had, the biggest, I think, in the whole offseason so far is bringing in Keenan Allen, the wide receiver from the Los Angeles Chargers. They also brought in Philadelphia Eagles safety Kevin Byard, who also played for Tennessee for a little bit last season. And then they brought in the Philadelphia Eagles running back DeAndre Swift. They re-signed Jalen Johnson, and they also brought in Jonathan Owens, a safety from Green Bay. Just to touch base on some of the acquisitions, though, and what they bring, I think the Kevin Byard acquisition was a good pickup. He's getting up there in age a little bit, but I still think he's a solid safety to have. Now, DeAndre Swift, they brought in from Philly, and he had a really good year. My only concern with DeAndre Swift is that he was playing behind the best offensive line in the NFL at the time. So is he going to be able to reproduce or kind of redo what he did in Chicago like he did in Philadelphia? I'm kind of hesitant on that, just for the simple fact that you couldn't keep Justin Fields upright. So what makes me think that you're going to be able to get an undersized back any room in the NFL to work? Now, by bringing in Keenan Allen, I am a fan of that. Now, he's getting up there in age, but I mean, it was a steal for what they got him for. He is on the wrong side of 30, but you pair him up with DJ Moore, and Caleb Williams is going to have at least a 1-2 target he can go to. They still need to improve that tight end position, but we'll get into that later. Now, touching up on some of the notable departures that the Chicago Bears had this offseason, I think the biggest, and everybody knows about it, is the Justin Fields trade to Pittsburgh. Now, I understand Justin Fields wanted to go to Pittsburgh, but I think that by keeping Caleb, the #1 pick, and getting Caleb Williams, you missed out on a lot more in return for trading that #1 pick and just finishing what you had with Justin Fields. I really think he has a potential to be a really good starting quarterback in the league. It's just, aside from DJ Moore, he had no weapons, and that was just last year with the awful head coach and an offensive coordinator that was terrible. Some of the other notable departures, you do have Cody White here, a longtime inside lineman for them. You have Eddie Jackson, the safety, and then the wideout Darnell Mooney. Although he wasn't great for you guys, he's an okay slot receiver in my eyes, good deep threat, and they ended up just not signing him, and he went over to Atlanta. So losing a weapon is not a good thing for the Chicago Bears. You're just basically replacing him with Allen, even though Allen is a lot better than what Mooney was. Going into the 2024 season, here are some of the biggest positional needs that the Bears have. Now, obviously, we know they're going to be drafting at quarterback, more than likely Caleb Williams at #1, but until that's done, they have a huge quarterback positional need. So that's going to take up a pick for them. On top of that, they need another edge rusher to help out Montez Sweat, and then they also need another wide receiver. I don't think that Keenan Allen and DJ Moore are going to be enough to open up the NFC North with the defenses, and then they also need to upgrade the tight end position. Cole Kmet has been there just as long as Justin Fields was, and to be fair to Justin Fields, if you're going to harass Justin Fields the way Chicago did, you have to give that same energy to the tight end position. That's why I think they need to upgrade there. On top of all of that, I would say another huge need that they need to fill is the offensive line. Other than Braxton Jones, I don't think any of those offensive linemen are top 15 linemen. And that's going to be really bad when you're bringing in a young rookie quarterback that needs to get that ball off. Now, obviously, this is the pre-draft prediction, right? So a lot of things can change. But as of right now, I would say that the Chicago Bears' strongest position is wide receiver. But with that being said, it's only Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Keenan Allen is good, but he does kind of struggle with injury at times. And DJ Moore, he's very, very good, but can he be producing like he was in Carolina? All right, so to sum up the Chicago Bears outlook for the 2024 season, I'm predicting that they're finishing last place, and that's just because until the Bears can prove otherwise to me, having a coach on the hot seat and bringing a rookie quarterback just does not work. Yes, they have more weapons than what Justin Fields had to work with in that same situation, but I still don't see it happening. Now, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on the Bears, But I just, in my eyes, I think that they could have created a monster team had they traded out of that number one spot, received more first round picks, and kept Justin Fields. Especially with them going out and getting the weapons that they did, I just think that the Chicago Bears missed out on a potential huge improvement. So that's why I have them in last place. And in third place, I have the Minnesota Vikings as my 2024 prediction. They finished 7-10 last year. However, they did have a lot of notable departures, but I still think Kevin O'Connell will give them the edge over Chicago, and that's why I have them at number 3. Some notable acquisitions the Minnesota Vikings had was Andrew Van Ginkel from Miami. He's an outside linebacker edge. You have Kamu Grugier Hill. I hope I said his name correctly. He's a linebacker. Shaq Griffin, the cornerback. Then they also brought over Sam Darnold, that is quarterback from San Francisco. They also brought in Aaron Jones from Green Bay as running back. And then Jonathan Greenard, he is also in the Vikings' notable acquisitions. Now, a couple of those acquisitions were in large part due to the departure of Danielle Hunter, who went to Houston, Kirk Cousins, who went to Atlanta, and then Alexander Mattison, who went to Las Vegas. So some of the biggest positional needs that I see right now pre-draft for the Minnesota Vikings are cornerback and another linebacker edge, just because the guys that they brought in are obviously not a Danielle Hunter level. Now, they're good replacements, but I think you're going to have to bring in a guy that's going to be like Danielle Hunter and be an all-pro. With Kirk Cousins leaving, that's a huge loss, so I understand why a lot of the analysts are having them at number 4. However, Kevin O'Connell is great with quarterbacks, and you add that Sam Darnold, when he was in New York, terrible coaching staff, went to San Francisco, and he was serviceable. I think that Kevin O'Connell is going to be able to cook it up with with Sam Darnold. And also, you have one of the best receiver in the NFL in Justin Jefferson. And then you also have Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. Darnold has weapons, and I think they're better weapons than what Chicago has, which is why I still have them at number 3. And I just mentioned it, but once again, the strongest position that the Minnesota Vikings have is that receiving core. With JJ, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, that's a good 1-2-3 punch. I'm sure they can also grab somebody in the draft if they'd like late. This draft is loaded with receivers, so they could get another one super late as well. So summing it all up for the 2024 season, for my prediction with the Vikings are going to finish 3rd. As long as Sam Darnold plays as an average quarterback, he doesn't need to play as a top 10 or even a top 15. The weapons on the offense that they have and Kevin O'Connell's expertise in that offensive game is going to be able to keep them at number 3. My biggest question for the Vikings is their defense. Obviously, because they lost Danielle Hunter. That is a huge loss. However, they did bring in Andrew Van Ginkel and Greenard. Now, I don't know too much about Greenard. However, I do know that Andrew Van Ginkel was very good in Miami. So we'll see if his production can replicate in Minnesota. All right, so the NFC North, for me at least, number 3 and 4 were pretty close, and number 1 and 2 are going to be really close. I don't think that the 3 and 2 position is going to be anywhere close. I think the skill gap is pretty big. But with number 2, I'm actually going to put the Green Bay Packers there. They finished 2nd in the division last year as well at 9-8, and they finished the season strong by eliminating the Dallas Cowboys and barely losing the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs. Now I'm just going to get into the notable acquisitions and the re-signs that the Green Bay Packers had. Now, I don't think that the biggest signing that they had was Josh Jacobs. I know that's going to be a hot take. Now, he's a fantastic running back from the Las Vegas Raiders that they picked up. However, I think that their biggest signing that they had was actually in the coaching department with Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator from Boston College. The Green Bay Packers defense was horrendous. Honestly, since I can remember, probably 3, 4, maybe 5 seasons, if I'm right. I think that Hafley signing is going to be a big improvement for them, and I think it's going to be something new. It's going to revitalize this defense to actually be able to maybe compete with offenses in the division such as the Detroit Lions. Another restructure that they had for the Packers was Preston Smith was huge because now it's allowing them to work with cap space a little bit. And then they were able to bring back A.J. Dillon, and then they were able to get, a steal from the New York Giants. They didn't trade or anything. They just re-signed a player of theirs, and that's Xavier McKinney, the safety from New York. Now, to touch base on some of the notable departures from the Packers, obviously everybody knows about the Aaron Jones situation. That was pretty hot topic on all of the sports shows that's been going on. Another one that they lost was Devondre Campbell. He was the ex-Falcons linebacker, been playing in Green Bay for at least 3-4 seasons. He was solid, nothing great. And then their longtime left tackle, David Bakhtiari. Everybody's gonna miss the beer chugs that he was doing in the Milwaukee Bucks arena. And then they also lost safety Jonathan Owens, as well as Darnell Savage. Now, Savage only played 10 games for him last year, so we'll see if that loss is as big as what some people were saying. But with them bringing in McKinney, I think that's actually an upgrade. Some of the biggest positional needs that the Green Bay Packers have, in my opinion, and these are what are actually going to prevent them from taking that number one slot for me, is the offensive line. The offensive line wasn't that great, and then you just lost David Bakhtiari. While, yes, he was injured quite a bit, I still think that when healthy, he's a top 5 left tackle in the league. They also need to improve that linebacker position. I wasn't able to watch a lot of their games this season. I know Quay Walker is a promising young player. However, from the games I have seen, seems like that guy has an attitude problem, and he's always getting personal penalties called on him. So maybe something to look at with replacing him in the draft as well if that continues. And then I also think that they need to sign draft at least another cornerback to help Jair Alexander. I know they have some young guys there, so maybe they step it up even more. So we'll wait and see. Now, the strongest positions on the Green Bay Packers team, in my opinion, is actually quarterback with Jordan Love. Jordan Love didn't start out hot. The Green Bay Packers fans were going for his head early in the season, but he calmed down. He found his rhythm with the young receiving core that he had, and they started playing really good football. I think that it's only going to go up for Jordan Love, so I think that's one of their strongest positions, as well as running back with Josh Jacobs and A.J. Dillon. I really liked Aaron Jones, but I do think Josh Jacobs is an upgrade, even though Aaron Jones, in my opinion, is a top 7 running back in the league. I think Josh Jacobs is a top 5, so big improvement there. So overall for the Packers season in 2024 pre-draft, I have them placing second place, and they're on an extremely good trajectory. They're a super, super young team that finished extremely hot to end the season. And let's see if Jordan Love can prove for a full season and not just half a season that he's the guy. I also think it is crucial for the Packers to have Josh Jacobs stay healthy. Now they need to upgrade that offensive line as well to make sure that happens. But if that does, then I could see them overtaking going to number 1. But until I see that, I'm going to still have them at 2. And as long as the Packers can hit that offensive line and defensive needs in the draft and look out to the division only having a 1 playoff caliber team, I really think that the Packers could make the playoffs or possibly make it to number 1. So last but not least, we have the team that I have finishing number 1 in the NFC North for 2024. And Detroit fans rejoice. You guys are on top for another season in my prediction. Last year, you guys finished first as well at 12-5. I really think that you guys will finish on top of the NFC North once again. Some notable acquisitions and re-signs that the Lions had this offseason: Emmanuel Mosley, the cornerback; Michael Badgley, the kicker; Kevin Zeitler from Baltimore, an inside lineman; DJ Reader, a defensive tackle from Cincinnati; and Marcus Davenport, an edge rusher from the Minnesota Vikings. And to top that off, aside from your guard leaving, I really think there was really only 2 other notable departures to mention, that being Cameron Sutton. Obviously, we're all aware of his legal issues right now going on, and honestly, if those are true, he should be out of the league. Now, once again, if, that's a big if they are true. And then Chase Lucas, the cornerback, is also off of the team, departing. And the reason I have the Lions at number 1 is because of their strongest position. That's the offensive line. I'm a big boy myself, and I understand that without a good offensive line or a great offensive line, you're not doing anything. You guys have Taylor Decker, Graham Glasgow, Frank Ragnow. You're adding Kevin Zeitler. And then also you have, in my opinion, the best right tackle, maybe the second best right tackle in the league, Penei Sewell. And touching base on the biggest positional needs that the Detroit Lions have. Now, as long as the management with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell address these needs in the draft, I see no reason that any of these teams should overtake you in your guys' division. But you guys do need to address that cornerback need pretty heavily. Hopefully, in my opinion, if Cooper DeJean drops that low to where you guys are sitting at, pick him up, or even Kool-Aid McKinstry. I did say defensive line. However, you guys did sign DJ Reader, so maybe that helps and addresses that need. If not, pick up another guy mid to late round that maybe could help you with the pass rush. And then wide receiver, I know you guys have Amon-Ra. I know you guys have Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta, but you did lose Brock Wright, who is, in my opinion, a good receiving tight end. So maybe just add one more weapon, and I think you guys will be fine. So overall, my prediction for the 2024 season for the Lions is first place once again. Although I could see the Packers overtaking them, I still think that the Detroit Lions have a better overall depth in all of their positions. And then also, I think most of their starters are better than what the Green Bay Packers have. And I think because that the Detroit Lions offensive line is a top 5 line for me, and the Packers don't possess that, I don't think that the Packers will overtake the Lions, which is why I have them here. Now, the biggest what if, though, for the Lions season is, can Dan Campbell manage those fourth down attempts and conversions correctly? I know it kind of screwed over the Lions in the playoffs. A lot of people said, oh, that's how he lives, but sometimes you live and die by the sword. That's what's going to happen. And now, just to sum it all up, I have in last place for 2024 pre-draft predictions the Chicago Bears, trading Justin Fields away, another coach on the hot seat, and a rookie quarterback. I just don't think that pans out. The Texans did it, but aside from them, I can't think of a team as of late that did that. At number 3, I have the Minnesota Vikings. I think with having Sam Darnold, who's an average quarterback, paired up with Kevin McConnell, who is a offensive mastermind, I think it's going to be enough to overtake the Bears. I don't think they're going to have a playoff season, but that's why I have them at number 3. At number 2, I have the Green Bay Packers. Very young, finished the year off hot. However, we'll see if it cools down. I think that offensive line and defensive needs that they have are just going to be a little bit too much to overtake that number 1 position. And at number 1, I have the Detroit Lions. Until somebody can overtake them, I just don't see that happening. Brad Holmes is a draft mastermind, and Dan Campbell, although I don't agree with all of his fourth down conversions, it worked for him last season. So we'll see if it can pay off again. If you guys enjoyed these takes, let me know in the comments. If you disagreed with them, agreed with them, you name it, let me know. Let me know what division we should do next. And if you guys haven't yet, go over to my TikTok and Facebook at BigCheeto TV, and we'll see you all there.